Butler had always believed that success belonged to other people. Every morning, he stood at the same bus stop, watching the city wake up. Tall buildings reflected the early sunlight, and people hurried past him with confident faces and fast steps. They looked like they knew exactly where they were going. Butler, however, often felt lost. He held his old backpack tightly, filled with worn books and quiet hopes, and wondered when his life would begin to move forward. Butler came from a small neighborhood where dreams were often postponed. His family worked hard, and they expected him to do the same. Yet deep inside, Butler wanted more. He wanted to speak English fluently, get a good job, and stand proudly among those confident people he saw every day. The problem was fear. Fear of failure. Fear of being laughed at. Fear of starting and not finishing. One rainy morning, while waiting for the bus, Butler noticed an elderly man sitting on the bench beside him. The man wore a simple coat and held a newspaper, but his eyes were calm and thoughtful. After a few moments of silence, the man spoke. "You look like someone carrying a heavy load," he said kindly. Butler smiled politely but said nothing. The man continued, "When I was young, I wanted to change my life overnight. I failed many times. Then I learned something important: life doesn't change in one day. It changes in small steps." Those words stayed with Butler all day. Small steps. He repeated them in his mind as the bus moved through the busy streets. That evening, Butler sat on his bed and looked at his phone. Normally, he would scroll for hours, watching other people live exciting lives. But this time, he put the phone aside and opened an English book he had bought months ago but never really used. He told himself, just 2 pages. No pressure. No big goals. He read slowly, checking meanings, repeating sentences. It was difficult, but when he finished those 2 pages, he felt something new: satisfaction. The next day, Butler learned 5 new English words and wrote them in a notebook. The day after that, he practiced speaking in front of a mirror. His pronunciation wasn't perfect, but he didn't stop. One step became another. 2 pages became 5. 5 words became sentences. Days turned into weeks. Butler began to enjoy his routine. Every morning, he still stood at the bus stop, but now he carried confidence along with his backpack. He listened to English audio on the bus. He practiced speaking quietly to himself. Slowly, his fear began to lose its power. At school, Butler rarely spoke before. He was afraid of making mistakes. But one day, during an English class, the teacher asked a simple question. Butler felt his heart beat faster. His hands felt cold. Then he remembered the old man's words. One step at a time. He raised his hand and answered. His sentence was not perfect, but it was clear. The teacher smiled and said, "Good effort, Butler." That small moment felt like a victory. Encouraged, Butler continued. He made mistakes, many of them, but he no longer felt ashamed. He understood that mistakes were part of learning, not signs of failure. His classmates began to respect his effort. Some even asked him for help. One afternoon, the teacher announced that each student would give a short speech in English. Panic filled the classroom. Butler felt nervous too, but this time, the fear was different. It didn't stop him, it challenged him. At home, Butler practiced every night. He stood in front of the mirror, spoke slowly, corrected himself, and tried again. Sometimes he felt tired. Sometimes he wanted to quit. But he remembered how far he had already come. He reminded himself that progress was built on patience. The day of the speech arrived. When Butler's name was called, his heart raced. He walked to the front of the class, his legs feeling heavy. For a moment, the room felt silent and overwhelming. Then he took a deep breath. He began speaking, one sentence at a time. His voice shook at first, but it grew stronger with each word. He spoke about dreams, effort, and believing in yourself. When he finished, the room was quiet for a second. Then applause filled the classroom. Butler returned to his seat, his eyes shining. He knew this moment was special. Not because he was perfect, but because he had not given up. Months later, Butler's life looked different. He spoke English with confidence. He applied for opportunities he once thought were impossible. He still faced challenges, but now he faced them with courage. One evening, as the sun set, Butler stood again at the same bus stop. The city was just as busy, but he felt different. He was no longer standing still while life passed by. He was moving forward. He smiled, remembering the old man and his simple advice. Success had not arrived suddenly. It had grown quietly through daily effort, discipline, and belief. Butler knew he had a long journey ahead. Yet he also knew something important. As long as he kept moving forward, no matter how slowly, he would reach his dreams.